Welcome. Let me make sure my mic is good here. That might be a little better there. Welcome to Moneyline MMA coverage of UFC 313, if I could actually speak. This is Magomed Ankalaev, the challenger to the light heavyweight belt against Alex Pereira. One of the most active, if not the most active fighter, at least in a certain time window here, probably in the last 18 to 24 months, I would say. Alex Pereira, the most active UFC champion for sure. He's already defended his belt, I believe, 3 times now. Four, since he was able to beat Jan Blachowicz to get it. So, wow, what a stud, man! Just to get all those fights done. That was the end of 2023. So yeah, that's crazy, man. That's a lot of fights. Love how active he is, just getting stuff done. Co-main event too, very exciting fight between Gaethje and Fiziev. I want to say I heard that that's a 5-round fight, but from what I'm seeing around, it's not. I'm going to have to get some further information on that co-main event, because I thought I heard, I don't know if you know, Jose, that I thought I heard it was 5 rounds, but according to Tapology, it is not. I suppose I could probably check their actual website, but
Yeah, I'm not seeing any confirmation even on the UFC website.
yeah, me
Not
either.
that
It
I see
just
right now.
gives it just gives a look at like their matchup intangibles. It doesn't tell me, if it's 5 rounds or not. Well,
I
either
mean, it
way,
definitely should be. It should be
it
for
should be
sure.
right. That's what I'm saying, because these dudes are enough of a fight. Like Justin Gaethje at this point is such a legend of the lightweight division that I feel like every fight he's in should be 5 rounds, main event or not. I just feel like that should be a standard. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is only 3 rounds, and if so, that's a sin. That's gonna be so. Oh, that's gonna be such a tease, because I tell you, this is gonna go. This is gonna go to decision. Um, okay, we'll discuss that as we get into our picks. But I do feel like that fight has a good propensity to go to decision. But in any case, before we get too deep into UFC 313, let's discuss last weekend and kind of the car crash that was last weekend, man. Esteban Ribovics couldn't get the job done, split decision loss. Like, are you kidding me, man? Um, yeah, I was pretty disappointed in that outcome. Excuse me. Jose's 5 weight, William Gomez, also losing. Like, it was back to back split decision losses for Jose and I. Just like a tough, like, little stretch there of the card. I thought Ribovics did a good job, but he didn't land the takedown. So whatever, I get it. William Gomez definitely didn't deserve. I'm surprised he got one of the judges, because I don't know, Hyder looked better in my opinion, but William Gomez kind of, I believe, did a lot of scrambling to avoid control time, and I think maybe one of the judges valued that. But in any case, a couple of wins. Chepe Mariscal. I was big on Chepe Mariscal last show, and for great reason. Chepe gets the job done unanimously. He's someone to look out for, man. I don't know if Chepe can necessarily be a champion, but this dude, he's coming, man. He's just hitting his MMA prime. He's very much a points fighter. That's the one thing you could knock him, is that he's not getting KOs or submissions. He's getting decision wins. But his cardio is one of his best tools. He's like the junior version of Marab, I feel like. Big fan of Chepe Mariscal. Keep an eye out for him, especially as he starts to get tougher opponents. We might be able to catch him in some good value, even more coming up in the future, because he wasn't that huge of a favorite. But in any case, the main event too, can't go without discussing Manel Kopp getting the job done against Almabayev, and that was a good win by Jose there on his 3 weight. I was understandably reserved on my Almabayev pick with a 1 weight, and I think I said it on the show. Like, a lot of it is just because I felt you were getting good value. I believe he was the dog as an undefeated fighter that I thought had some good experience in the UFC. So it was more of a value pick for me than anything else. But Manel Kopp, I'm very happy for him and the division, to be honest. I really think the division will be better off with him moving forward. He's such an electric guy, Manel Kopp, and you got to love his personality, his tenacity, getting the KO, finishing Asu's undefeated run, and wow, I'm excited to see what's next for him. But with that said, doesn't seem like Hosea has any comments, so I'll move forward.
No, yeah, not as much on my end. Not the best week for me in general, so
Hey man,
I'm just happy with the two I was able to get.
if we could win them all, we wouldn't be here. I'll tell you that much. If we could win them all, we would be chilling with Drake and all of those rich people because we would be able to know what to bet on every single time. Actually, never mind, because the casinos would all ban us long before we could make enough money off of them. We would have to like find other ways to utilize that and monetize it, but that's a different conversation. We're here to discuss the UFC 313 card, and we may have struggled last weekend, but overall, anyone who's continuously watched us knows that we definitely boast over a 60% win, especially if you look at our 5 weights. So like I said, everybody's going to lose here and there. If you're not willing to take a loss, then you're at the wrong place. Betting any money in a situation where you're not willing to take a loss is the wrong move to make from the start. But that said, anyone who's new here, we make our picks in a 5-weight system, with 5 weight being the most confident and 1 weight being the least confident. We make these picks independent of each other. Those 5 picks can be any of the 12 scheduled fights for UFC 313, currently scheduled to be at Las Vegas, with the normal card time starting with the prelims at 4:30 Central Time. And we're right before the show. We're going to confer on our weights because we always go with our 5-weight most confident pick first and go down from there. So just so we know what order we're in. But otherwise, these picks are made independently. That said, we start with our locks of the week. My 5-weight of Saturday afternoon is not too common, but we're going straight into the main event, boys. This does not happen too often. Usually in main events, it's a reason that it's a main event. It's a tougher fight. It's a situation in where there's a challenger and a defender, especially in pay-per-views. There's always a belt on the line. Maybe it's a little different in fight nights where you'll see some discrepancies there at fight nights, but this is a pay-per-view main event. My 5-weight is obviously Powhatan, Alex Pereira. I think he's going to come in here and get this job done simple and easy. I cannot believe that he is a minus 120 favorite. That is wild to me. Magomed Ankalaev, I don't mean to sit here and rag on him too much, but he is a boring fighter. Magomed Ankalaev brings minimal to the table, if you ask me. Excuse me. I think he's very inactive in the cage specifically. He's gonna step forward. He's got mid boxing at best, and he's gonna try and land takedowns. And Alex Pereira is just easily going to defect a takedown. I mean, he just trains with Glover Teixeira. Alex Pereira knows what his opponents are going to bring to the table. Alex Pereira, I mean, he's the one guy that I would say, like, I can't wait to the inevitable one day that, like, I don't know if he'll ever fight Khamzat, but, like, there's an inevitable day where Pereira's going to fight someone who's a nuts, like, wrestler kind of style. Yo.
What happened?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think I'm good.
What happened? It just cut out in between.
I think my Discord crashed, dude.
Oh crap!
Because it made me join that, but we're still live.
Okay, hell yeah! So we just reconnect.
We're still live. Let me try and get this to work again for me. Sorry for the interruption here, folks. I don't believe that was my internet. I believe that was my my app crashing.
Yeah, I was just really abrupt. So yeah, it didn't seem like any connection issues on either end.
I believe that. There we go. I believe.
Yeah, it did seem like an app crash.
Let me load this back up here. Yeah, I think. Whew, there we go. Oh man, what a struggle. I don't know what that was all about. I was trying to make a point over here.
No, it's all good, man.
I might have to. This is not looking good, folks. I might have to give this a restart if it's going to keep acting up. But for now, we're good. I see that we're live, so we're good for now. But what I was trying to just say is that Alex Pereira knows his opponent, right? Long story short, Alex Pereira knows his opponents. Magomed Ankalaev can't box very well. Alex Pereira, one of the best strikers in UFC history. Alex Pereira is not going to get taken down that easily. Alex Pereira wins this fight. It's quite simple. The fact that you're getting minus 120 is just a hilarious joke. I feel like a glitch in the system. That's one where I would say just put your bank. I mean, I'm not trying to make betting advice, but like for real, Alex Pereira minus 120 against one of the most boring light heavyweights I've ever seen. We're talking about a guy who didn't even didn't he go to decision with Johnny Walker and lose or something like that, or barely win? Like, dude, Johnny Walker, dude, no, that guy's not
He
beating Alex Pereira. It's not happening. Easy money.
yeah, Nick, like I definitely agree with you on those points that you made. And that being said, I also have Alex Pereira, but he is my two weight. And the thing is like Magomed, like yeah, his wrestling, like that is like one of his stronger suits. But like you mentioned, I'm not too worried about it. Like Alex Pereira, he trains with Glover Teixeira, so. And even then, when Alex Pereira went against Jan Blachowicz, right in the beginning, we saw him try to attempt a standing guillotine. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like I think he's as time goes on, we're gonna just keep seeing an evolution of him getting more and more comfortable with his grappling. And yeah, as you mentioned, like he has, you can't get this far in the UFC without having some level of solid takedown defense. And he himself, like I agree, he has solid takedown defense in his fists. Just massive power behind them. And Magomed, he himself, he has a lot of power behind his fists. He may actually be, I think he may be one of the harder hitters that Alex Pereira is ever going to face in the UFC. But that being said, when it comes to the stand-up game, 100%, like I still have Alex Pereira one all day, every day on this one. I just do think that Magomed will clip him a few times, and even if it's like if Alex Pereira cannot put Magomed out, there could be a point where I do think Magomed could just clip Alex Pereira and then actually take him down and be more effective. Because I do think if Magomed if Alex Pereira can't escape bottom mount from Magomed, then I do think Magomed will just pin him down and just start ground and pounding away. But I think it's going to be really hard for Magomed to get to that point first. So that's why I do have Alex Pereira as my two weight, just not as high because I just do think the power behind those punches, just one of those little ones, could just set up a takedown, and from there, it just really depends how Alex Pereira responds. But that being said, both dudes are massive, and again, like I do think Magomed is gonna be one of the hardest punchers that Alex Pereira will face. But Alex Pereira also has a 4-inch reach advantage over Magomed, so having, like I always preach, like if you have the reach advantage and a higher strike percentage, then like it's really like I'm always gonna fare you in getting like the KO/TKO as well. So this one I do see I'm taking Alex Pereira, and if he wins, yeah, it's hard to see him not finishing Magomed as well. Just because this is definitely going to be Magomed's toughest test, yeah, just and especially in more recent times. Just because like again, like all the names he's recently beat, like you mentioned Johnny Walker, he did finish Johnny Walker, but it's Johnny Walker, and he went to split the decision with Jan Blachowicz. And Jan himself is a really good kickboxer, and that being said, like it's like I do think Magomed is going to put up a better fight on the feet, but at the end of the day, I take Alex Pereira winning this. My two weight, just not as confident. Hope that all made sense.
Yeah, no, it did, man. And so I was looking to. By the way, I just want to correct too. I was mistaking it for the wrong fight. So he finished Johnny Walker in the second round. It was Rakic that he went to a decision with. But let me mention that Jiri Prochazka finishes Rakic, and I'm not trying to say that MMA math is the end all be all, because we all know it's not going to work out most of the time or a lot of the time. Alexander Rakic gets KO'd by Jiri. I mean, Magomed Ankalaev goes to a boring, one of the most, like 55 to 53 strikes landed. That's extremely boring. I mean, what are we doing here? This is a light heavyweight division. It's boring, not entertaining whatsoever. Alex Pereira will put out Rakic. Alex Pereira will put out Ankalaev. It's that simple.
Yeah, I agree with that testimony. So yeah, that being said, this is one we both definitely agree on. Alex Pereira is your 5-weight, and he is my 2-weight. And that being said, I think it's safe to say we can move on to my 5-weight, which this one actually brings us to the prelims with the big boys, the heavyweights, the main event of the prelims, which is the bout between Curtis Blades and Rizvan Kuniev. I hope I pronounced his last name correct. But that Kuniev. But that being said, for this one, I'm taking Curtis Blades over Rizvan. And right now, Curtis Blades is a big betting favorite at -310, while Rizvan is a betting underdog at +230. And basically, it's just the experience. I have not seen. I don't want to say like, oh, it's just because I haven't seen Rizvan, because like last week, I had Mario Pintos taking the win over Austin Lane, even though I never seen Mario Pinto fight at all before. But again, that was mostly because I was betting against Austin Lane's chin. In this case, I'm betting. I'm not betting against Curtis Blades' experience, even though Curtis Blades he is coming off that loss to Tom Aspinall, but it's Tom Aspinall, and he's still 34 years old. You know, he's just literally in the middle, like in like you know, you can think like his. I don't know, like if he entered a prime yet necessarily. Like he had a 4-fight or a 3-fight winning streak, and he's been on and off. Like he's had multiple multiple win streaks in the UFC, and I just think like he's never really had a chin. That's pretty much it. But in terms of, he's always been a really good wrestler and athletic. And even though like it seems like he may be somewhat declining as of lately, he's just, I think just it's just the level of competition he's going against too. And he's beating the dudes he's supposed to be beating. Even like in 2021 beating Yersinio Rozenstruik, who he's not in the UFC anymore, but at the time too, Yersinio was known as like one of the more better strikers in the UFC, at least for the heavyweight division. Wow, Rizvan, he himself, like, again, haven't seen too much of him. Like, he's only coming off Dana White's Contender Series, so it does says a lot throwing him to the wolves with Curtis Blades. But I just personally don't see him beating Curtis Blades. I just think Curtis Blades in this one, he could easily, I think, could install his wrestling power, like, or his takedown aggressiveness, I guess I should say, over Islam. Like this is like one of those like almost give me fights, I feel like, for Curtis Blades. Just something like just to kind of pan up his resume. Is that how I personally view it? Even though Rizvan, he does have a 75% takedown defense, but I wonder how much of that really takes into account. I think maybe it's just all the UFC, like what he's done with Dana White Contender Series. But basically, but that being said, yeah, Curtis Blades, I'm taking him. He's my 5-weight just based off his experience. He's only, again, he's not that old yet. He's only 34 years old. He's only literally a couple years older than Rizvan, and he also has a 4-inch reach advantage over Rizvan. And when it comes to striking, I think Rizvan, he's probably gonna throw a little more barrage of punches, but I think Curtis Blades was just gonna be able to withstand them and land a zone and take Rizvan down. And honestly, I just see Curtis Blades mostly winning this by unanimous decision. I don't know if he'll actually TKO/KO Rizvan, but that being said, yeah, I have Curtis Blades taking this one for sure. I think this is like just a really good matchup for him specifically. What are your thoughts on this one, Nick?
Total agreement here. This will be the money line lock of the week. Curtis Blades is my 4-weight. That's 9 total confidence points, and there's a lot of things I'm looking at here that point me away from Kuniev, that make me think like something fishy's kind of going on here, and maybe I'm thinking too like outside of the box or too weird here, but I'm just saying I'm looking at Kuniev like before his UFC tenure now, because like you were saying, he's only fought Contender Series, so we haven't really seen him much in the UFC. So I'm like, okay, what's this guy about? If I'm gonna see what he's got against a guy as good as Curtis Blades, he's got to have something in his history that's pretty respected, right? So I see he's fought Renan Ferreira, which is any MMA person will remember that's the guy that Francis Ngannou came back to fight and finish in like 10 seconds easily, right? Renan Ferreira and him fought in the PFL, and it was overturned because initially Kuniev got a decision win, but the reason, according to Tapology, is that Kuniev tested positive for anabolic steroids. Interesting. So if Kuniev is actually now being drug tested, or unless the UFC's new drug testing protocol doesn't catch steroids, or he found a way around it, right? He is going to be at a significant disadvantage. Who knows how many previous fights he was doing that kind of stuff, right? Because that was his one and only PFL fight. When they found that out, and they must have cut him or something, because he went straight into the Contender Series after that overturn. So very interesting. All I got to say too is that instance of him being tested positive for steroids came after he won a fight in Eagle FC. Interesting. I'm not saying Khabib, or I'm interesting. But either way, Maybe that's not the source of his material there, but in any case, I'm pretty much saying all that to say is I doubt a guy who's been popped for steroids, right, is going to get off steroids and come into the UFC with the hardest competition in the world, right? Come and fight a guy, Curtis Blades. I mean, that's a top 10 heavyweight in the world. He's going to do that right away off the Contender Series. Come on. Come on. Let's be real here. That's it. That's it. So Curtis Blades for all day.
No, yeah. Now that you mentioned that too, yeah. I just feel that much better of having Curtis Blades as my 5-weight because, yeah, like you mentioned, I have yet to see any dude. Besides, I think Alistair Overeem is probably the only dude that has probably been popped for something and then has come back and still made like a title. Like he actually that's when he fought when he was able to fight Stipe for the title. He lost it, but he was the only dude that I've seen bounce back and look not just still perform well, not as good as he used to, but you've seen like Johnny Hendricks and Lyoto Machida and Vitor Belfort and just a bunch of these other dudes, and they just once they're off the juice, it's just very obvious that you can even I don't know I was gonna say even TJ Dillashaw, but that being said, yeah, I just feel a lot better. I just don't, yeah, I don't know who this guy thinks he is really. So that being said, yeah, I got Curtis Blades all day 5-weight, and he's your 4-weight.
That said, we'll move on to my 3-weight. Since Jose just gave his 5-weight, we'll go down to my 3-weight because my 5 and 4 weights have already been discussed. I'm going to be taking us back to the main event because I believe that Curtis Blades' fight is on the prelims, which is pretty interesting. We're looking at a pretty good fight card with Curtis Blades on the prelims, I would say. But what I'm going to be doing is taking us back to what I think will be the main event. I'm not exactly sure where the placement of this fight is. Let me see. I believe maybe opening the main event. The opener for the main event, Bobby Green against Mauricio Ruffy. I'm taking 3-weight Mauricio Ruffy here. Now this one is strictly just based on a guy that I think should be able to get the win. The value here, because I believe Mauricio Ruffy is a somewhat significant favorite. I believe he's minus 600. I'd have to double check here on FanDuel as the page loads. Minus 590 on FanDuel. So Mauricio Ruffy here is a huge favorite. So take it with precaution, right? Don't just find dumb ways to lower the odds. And also, 590 just isn't good return. Sometimes you got to sit back and just enjoy a fight. Maybe it's a decent parlay piece, but only like 2 or 3 legs at most, right? You don't want it, and you don't want to put it in every single parlay you have either, because then if he loses, your whole slate is done. But in any case, Mauricio Ruffy is coming off of a couple easy, really, wins in the UFC. I mean, he did go to decision against James Yontop, but still kind of won the fight easily, got a knockdown. Or actually, Ruffy got a knock. Excuse me. Yeah, Ruffy got a knockdown, like I said, and they won that. He won that by decision, even though he got outstruck a little bit. But obviously, volume doesn't mean everything. He got knocked down, unanimously wins that fight. Bobby Green, we all know who Bobby Green is. He's very consistent. He's the kind of guy that you know what you're going to get out of him. So me taking Ruffy here is mostly just saying that I believe in Ruffy's power. If you look at raw stats, you're not going to be too impressed. Mauricio Ruffy lands about as much as he absorbs. So the damage discrepancy there, based on sheer strikes, isn't that big. But there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be swinging way harder than Bobby Green here. So I think Ruffy gets this job done by KO or decision. King Green is a very respectable opponent. I have a lot of respect for King Green, but he's also, I think, like 38 now. About to be 39 later this year. And he's just getting up there. And I just don't think a guy that old is going to be able to keep up with some of the young power coming in. Mauricio Ruffy's only 28, going to be 29 this year. So, yeah, that said, give me the power and the youth with Mauricio Ruffy. Here's my 3-weight. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this one was a tough one for me to make a pick on, so I actually don't have a pick on it because if I would have gone one, I was leaning towards Ruffy as well. Just haven't seen enough of him in the UFC, and King Green, it's just him. He's kind of a gamble for me, like right now, just because he's just win loss, and he looks really good, then he just loses really bad, and it's just so quick with him, and he's only getting older with age, and some of the names he's still being like being able to finish Grant Dawson in the first round, but then loses to Jalen Turner in the first round. Goes on, beats Jim Miller, and loses again to Patty Pimblett in the first round. And Ruffy, I just don't know exactly where Ruffy really stands there yet. Like, I think it says a lot that they're already giving him Bobby Green, because that's really going to push Ruffy up to the top 10 sooner. So definitely, I don't know if he was ranked, but if not, he will be if he beats Bobby Green. And uh, that being said, yeah, this one I am lean. I like the Ruffy pick, but I just don't have a weight on it, just because I think King Green's experience um could play a big role in this one, and could possibly, like, in I don't want to say humble, um uh I don't want to say like necessarily humble Ruffy, but like almost just kind of, check him, and like show, like, like, hey, like, like, he's been here for a while, and he's like, kind of show where they belong still. And so I just don't know exactly where Ruffy falls yet, so that's why it was hard for me to put a weight on this. But I am leaning towards Ruffy, just based on, like, he has a lot more wins in a row, and he's a pretty active fighter as well. So, but like, so now I beat a dead horse. But like, that being said, yeah, I'm leaning towards Ruffy, but I have no official weight on this.
Sounds good. So then we still got your four weight then next.
Yes, sir. And then for my four weight, this actually brings us back down to the prelims, and this is the middleweight bout between Bruno Ferreira and Armin Petrosian. And right now, Armin Petrosian is the betting favorite at -156, while Bruno Ferreira is the betting underdog at +122. This one, I was actually kind of like a little 50-50 on it, because I like Bruno Ferreira a lot. And Armin Petrosian too, even though he's on a 2-fight losing streak, he didn't look bad in them. Even though he got submitted, he got finished. He did get finished in both of them. He did show just like how good his striking is in both his last two fights, and even against Shara and uh, one of those, and then Rodolfo Vera as well. So these are like names, like, like, they're tough.
Well then, it appears we have frozen again. Or at least Discord has. Give me one moment. Sorry about that again. Why is my Discord acting a fool?
Not It's not the best. He's 31%, but I just don't know if I think this one, Bruno Ferreira, he doesn't really go for takedowns as much as well. So I think this fight is safe to say is mostly going to be on the feet. And I think on the longer it stays on the feet, I just think the more Armin Petrosian is going to piece him up. Ferreira, again, he does have some submissions, so I just don't think those ones is the type of way where he like necessarily initiated a type of takedown, and he actually hasn't even had a submission in a while, since 2021. So this one, I just feel like it's really safe to say it's going to be on the feet. And he actually got submitted by Abbas as well, Bruno Ferreira, in his last fight. And Abbas himself, like, he's actually a pretty good striker. So just getting submitted by a guy that's mostly a striker makes me feel better with Armin Petrosian getting the win on Bruno Ferreira. So who knows, maybe Armin may get a submission as well. But this one, I feel confident with Armin Petrosian. He is my four weight. Nick, do you have any thoughts on this fight?
I don't have an official weight on this one. I like Armin Petrosian though, so I will say that I would agree in the end. Um, I'm an Armin Petrosian type of guy. I'm with you that he's a really good boxer, and he's coming off a couple losses, so I would almost see it as a good bounce back spot for him. I think he's going to have a lot of motivation to do well. He, back to back loss. And in my opinion, he looked good against Shara. I remember watching that fight while in the gym, actually. It was funny. I had it up on my phone at the gym, and I was watching, like, I had picked Shara, and I was like, damn, I might not win my money here with Shara. But all of a sudden, Shara gets that spinning back fist. I'm like, well, shit, I guess good job taking use of the opportunity from Shara. But I think Arman was winning the decision at that point. If you were to ask the judges, I didn't end up looking or anything to see if I could find the card, but I really think Arman Petrosyan is a respectable boxer, and I think that's where the fight ends up here in for most of the fight. And with that, I would like him to win.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So yeah, that being said, I have Armin Petrosyan as my four-way, and you don't have an official pick, but you are leaning towards Armin as well for taking the W.
That said, we have two weights left for each of us, and we'll move on to my two weight. We've covered my 543 down to my two weight. With this one, we're going to be going to the feature bout, at least what I believe will be the feature bout of UFC 313. From what I'm seeing on the websites right now, this Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. This is an interesting one in the lightweight division. I believe the two tallest, or at least the feels like the two tallest. Maybe there's an outlier somewhere in there. But these dudes are like 6'3" for the lightweight division, which is nuts. Jose and I got to see Bahamondes live at UFC Nashville now almost 2 years ago, which is insane. Time flies, man. But that said, Bahamondes is just kind of a stud, man. He's such a good boxer on his feet. But my two weight is still going to be against him with Jalen Turner. I like the tarantula here. I think Jalen Turner, I'm slightly less confident because I recognize Ignacio has had a couple of really strong fights lately, and Jalen Turner's the one coming off a loss against Moicano. But honestly, we can't sit here and just look at the win-loss and move on, right? We have to know the context to the situation, and Nato Moicano was losing that fight for sure. If you recall, Jose, I'm pretty sure that was the fight that Jalen Turner, if you remember, did like Sean O'Malley, but he didn't actually finish him. He landed what he thought was the finishing blow on Moicano and was like, "Ha, look at me!" And Moicano's like, "I'm still fighting."
Yeah, that was really weird. It's just like that's what like Nate Diaz would do sometimes too, and like when people got mad at Nate Diaz when he like didn't capitalize on Leon Edwards, it's like the same thing. It's like just throwing the fight away almost.
Yeah,
and
true.
it bit him back in the second round when
He got finished.
yeah. So it's just when you can't play around like that. Like you got to make sure you get that win and make sure the ref calls it. Because
100%.
so that yeah.
Yeah, man, 100%. So, dude, I just wanted to bring that up because other than that, Jalen Turner's lost split decision to Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's pretty game. Dan Hooker's been on a really strong. I mean, he was supposed to be the co-main event of this card until he announced that he got hurt. So I think that's respectable enough of a loss. Mateusz Gamrot's a very good loss as well. Mateusz Gamrot pushes a wrestling pace not many can. So I'm looking at Jalen Turner like, dang, this guy's been able to put it together against most of the guy he's fought. And if he didn't do a walk-off situation against Moicano, he's not as big of an underdog at all. I believe he's an underdog at least. It's very close. The line was actually at first, I believe it was Jalen Turner as the favorite, and then it actually moved to Bahamondes. So I think people favor the fact that he's coming off some wins. And don't get me wrong, his win against Manuel Torres is great. He got the finish, and it looks great. He's got 2 round 1 finishes back to back now. So don't get me wrong, that's why it's my 2 weight, not my 5 weight. But I think Jalen Turner's way much more of a veteran and way more experienced to get finished, like Manuel Torres or Giagos did. So what do you think, Jose?
Yeah, so this one, I can see why. Like, I thought Jalen Turner was going to be the favorite. Even I know you say that's what he opened up with, and it is a close one right now. But I thought he still would have been the favorite, even slightly more. But this one, I'm going with Bahamondes, the slight favorite right now, just because just how good he's always looking. Like, honestly, almost every fight, like I always almost like I think I've yet to always want to go against him. Even when he lost against Ludovic Klein. That being said, like Bahamundas, he is a finisher. Like out of his 16 wins, he has 11 via KO/TKO, and he can get it done early. You know, his last two wins are stoppage in the first round, and he's only looking better. And both guys are big. Jalen Turner does have a slight reach. I believe he's the one with the slight reach advantage. The UFC, I don't know why the UFC website's kind of messed up right now with that, but both are big, tall, lengthy dudes, and I think in this one it's going. I think it's going to be finished. I can see Bahamundas ending Jalen Turner or just winning unanimously. Honestly, maybe even split decision. To be honest, Bahamundas, he is my one way. I don't know if I mentioned that yet. He is my one way just because I do have a lot of respect with Jalen Turner, as you mentioned. Just the names he's lost to, you know, they're like some of the top dogs. So I do like this challenge for Ignacio Bahamundas. It's a really good one. You know, he Manuel Torres too was just quick and rising contender that he completely just put to a stop. And that being said, like I think this is just a perfect matchup for him to truly be tested, and I truly think he can live up to the hype. You know, he trains right here out of Addison, not far outside of Chicago, and he comes from a really good camp. You know, he trains with Muhammad, Bilal Muhammad, and just a bunch of other guys over there at VFS. And so that being said, like. I just truly think Ignacio Bahamundas will get this. I don't even know like what else I can say other than nothing but just good things about him. Just a complete show like finisher, and he's a dog too. Like he takes a beating, like almost a lot of his fights too. He's just really beaten up too. So I know you know he's hard to put down. He's actually out of his 5 losses has never been knocked out. So you know, I would say never. You know. But Jalen Turner, out of his 8 losses, he has been put to sleep half the time. So this one, I'm going with Ignacio Bahamundas, but he is my one weight. The only reason, you know, Jalen Turner, I just think, you know, they're not far. I think far from each other in terms when it comes to the striking. So I think maybe in the grappling, I think Bahamundas may have a slight advantage over Jalen Turner. But that being said, yeah, and Jalen Turner just has again more experience over bigger guys, but perfect test for Ignacio Bahamundas. He is my one weight. Yeah, because I do have respect for Jalen Turner as well.
Sounds good. So we do have a disagreement there. Alas, here in UFC 313's discussion of our picks here and potential bets, Jalen Turner will be my 2 weight, and Ignacio will be Jose's 1 weight. So not too confident of a disagreement there, but we're just kind of looking at the fight in a similar way, I think, with different angles. Just in that, I think Jalen Turner still can get the job done, even though Ignacio has shown he's dangerous. That'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. With that, I believe we have 1 fight to go, and we'll let Jose take it away.
Yes, so this one is a rematch, and it's the co-main event. It's the lightweight bout between Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev. And right now, Justin Gaethje, he is the betting underdog at plus 120, while Rafael Fiziev is the betting favorite at minus 150. Underdog back then too, and he ended up, you know, I went with him as the dog, and he ended up getting the win. This time, I am a little different on it. Like, I mean, I'm viewing it differently. This time, he is the underdog again, even though he got that win last time. But I think it's mostly just because of his like his last loss that came almost a year ago now to Max Holloway when he got knocked out. And man, I can't believe that's almost a year ago now too. That's crazy. Like, man, I'm still living off like the high off that loss for him. Like, because it was just such a crazy fight, and just how him and Max stood in the middle. But that being said, like, yeah, I just think maybe some people are just seeing that, and I'm like, yo, like, don't forget he did win this majority decision to Rafael Fiziev a couple years ago, and then he knocked out Dustin Poirier as well. All in did both of those in 2023, and his losses too. You know, he's only losing to the best. Like, he only lost before Max Holloway. He only lost to Charles Oliveira and Khabib, and then way before that in 2018 to Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez, like early when he just entered the UFC. So Justin Gaethje is pretty much always, you know, lived up to like expectations of just being wild and ruthless and a heavy hitter. And I think Rafael Fiziev, you know, he's coming off a 2-fight losing streak right now. Obviously, one to Justin Gaethje and the other one to Matsu Skerma, but that was like he got like injured, so that wasn't even like a real full fight, to be honest. Like not even legit. Like happened in the second round. Like I almost like I hate when these type of injuries happen like that. Like because just how awkward it happened. Like almost should have been like I guess like a no contest in my personal opinion. But that being said, like before that, before that awkward loss and the loss to Justin Gaethje, he was riding his own winning streak in the UFC as well, and being RDA and Brad Riddell before losing to Justin Gaethje. He's just not as active. And again, part of it is due to the injuries as well. So I think this one is going to be he's my three-way because I think he is going to come back and just he's a phenomenal kickboxer and just striker as well. Even before the UFC, he has a good extensive kickboxing career. So I just truly think he's still the more technical guy. Justin Gaethje is getting he is technical himself, but gets a little more wild, which is probably what helped him win in the first time. But I think Rafael Viziev now, he's already running a 2-fight losing streak, and one's an awkward one, and one's the rematch now to Justin Gaethje. He said, he's the one that stepped up to the table. They asked multiple guys, and he was one of the few that said yes. I know Arman Sarukian was another one that said yes as well, but he wanted to catch weight in this one. If Rafael Fiziev is saying yes, there's for a good reason. He's confident, and he's already fought Justin Gaethje, was able to study him, and he knows Justin Gaethje is extremely dangerous and could put him out. So in this one, I just think it's going to be Fiziev winning by decision. I don't think he'll put out Gaethje, just even though Gaethje has been put out a couple times and his chin is being tested, and I just think Fiziev probably won't put out Gaethje. I think he's mostly just going to win pure, just outclass him on the feet and just win by decision. That's just pretty much the way I view it going. So completely opposite of what happened, of what I thought last time when they first fought. But again, that was a couple years ago, and I was right with Justin Gaethje winning. But this time, I just think maybe the momentum has shifted a little bit, and I think Justin Gaethje too. It's tough. I don't know if he's going to be champ. Like he's kind of close, but I kind of see him kind of fading out of not being able to be champ like Dustin Poirier. And then just that's the way I see it. What are your thoughts on this one, Nick?
Man, I'm so excited for this one. We said before the show, or as the show was beginning, man, this should really be a 5-rounder. If it's not, what a disgrace, man, because I think this does have a high likelihood to go to decision. There's a good chance, to me, this comes down to which way. There's two ways to go. There's the way of way A. You see that Rafael Fiziev hasn't won a fight since 2022. And he also hasn't fought since September of 2023 because he got an injury. And he had to go under a surgery or two that was very major. And this is the first time in a long time that he's going to be fighting. But Gaethje himself is coming off of being literally unconscious in the ring. Now, that was about 11 months ago, so he's gotten a lot of time to recover as well. But he didn't have to go through the complete having to relearn how to walk again, because that's how major of a surgery I think Fiziev had to go through almost. So it's almost like, what do you think is harder, or what do you think impacts the fighter more? Having to come back from such a devastating KO and you're kind of old like Gaethje, he's 36, is his chin gonna hold up? Or Fiziev coming back off the horrific leg injury?
Yeah, it's that's like a tough one, just because just some people too, just seeing Volkanovski after he got knocked out, he went on to lose again, and I think that's part of it why I think maybe he's also the underdog in this one. Is just some dudes, just how do they come back after getting knocked out like that, especially just because he took a beating too, just for all those rounds from Max Holloway. So and I think that's something Rafael Fiziev being a high level striker himself, maybe he took some notes there and is taking some things from Max Holloway as well. So that's where my stance on that too is dude, because Justin Gaethje is just a warrior. He's kill or be killed.
Yeah, man, that's just it too. So in the end, I don't know if I made it clear enough, but I do have a 1-weight on Justin Gaethje, so we will disagree again. Second disagreement in a row. Obviously, pretty low confidence for me because I respect Fiziev a lot, and he is the favorite for a reason. He's going to likely have the speed, but does he have the wherewithal and the grit? Now, I will say, if it's only 3 rounds, it's hard to say. Does that benefit Fiziev? I'm not sure, actually. It's hard to say. We'll have to see. I think by the end of the fight, we'll obviously have hindsight to know, but Gaethje isn't necessarily a huge cardio fighter, so I don't see him being better in rounds 4 and 5 because of cardio. I would just mainly see it because of veteran savviness more than anything else. So I'm really not sure how much to weigh that and just sit back and enjoy the fight. I do like Gaethje here with his veteran presence, and I think he's not. I don't even think Gaethje himself. Like, of course, anyone wants a title shot, but I don't think he'd be that mad if they didn't give him another title shot, even after winning this fight, because there's just so much going on in lightweight. Like, it obviously should be Arman next, but now they're talking Islam needs to fight what's his nuts, Ilya. So like, I don't even know. Lightweight's crazy, dude. At this point,
It's all over the place. Like this match, like if Justin Gaethje loses to Rafael Fiziev, he can get knocked down quite a bit because Fiziev is like rank 11 as well. So not like the ranking matters, but like I definitely do think it'll just push him that further back from title contention.
I think there's a decent likelihood that by the end of this year, you know, if it's not Saturday night, by the end of this year, we're going to see the retirements of Poirier and Gaethje. It's going to be unfortunate, man, but I do think it's the real truth. So we just got to enjoy it while we have it, honestly.
100% facts.
So there's going to be a big, it's coming, man. There's going to be a lot of changes coming up in UFC. Obviously, John Jones is diddling around with retirement, and we just got done talking about Alex Pereira, how confident I am in him winning, but he's 38 years old. I mean, what's going on? You can't literally defy age. So that's gonna be a thing coming up. Maybe not this year, but you know what I'm saying. With his activity level, you never know. We're gonna see some changing coming up here with some guys that we're used to seeing. They're not gonna be here no more.
Yeah, 100. Like, yeah, even Conor McGregor, he's probably gonna retire. So.
That's funny as shit. I don't even want to talk about Conor McGregor, dude.
No, true. I mean, he's basically is retired. My bad.
How dare you bring that up, man? That's a joke. But yeah, that'll do it, man. That covers all of our picks here for UFC 313 here at Moneyline MMA. Quick recap: we have a Moneyline MMA lock of the week of Curtis Blades. Definitely go and put your money down on him now. My 5-weight Alex Pereira, Jose's 5-weight Curtis Blades. You might as well do a little 2-leg parlay between Curtis Blades and Alex Pereira. Make some good money there because we both agreed on those fighters and their weight combinations are pretty hefty. So yeah, that said, thanks for watching. We'll as always be back every Monday before UFC fights, and we're continuing a streak of UFC fights throughout March, I believe. We're going to continue. We're going to get Vettori versus Dolidze number 2 this next week afterwards. So yeah, we still continue to have entirety of March, all Saturdays in March. There isn't a break until middle of April. So we'll continue to have fight shows on Monday nights. Make sure to check in, comment down below who you agree or disagree with, and have a great week.